Most people spend their entire lives working for money, but never learn the simple rules that allow money to work for them. What if I told you that wealth is not reserved for the few, but available to anyone, at any age, who chooses to follow timeless principles? This is Earl Nightingale speaking. I want to share with you 7 money rules that not only built my fortune, but can just as easily build yours, no matter where you begin and no matter what age you are today. You see, wealth is not a matter of luck, nor is it the privilege of the chosen few. Wealth is the result of obeying timeless principles as dependable as the sunrise. The first rule is simple: money follows value, not time. Most people believe they are paid for the hours they work. In truth, they are paid for the value they bring to those hours. Increase your value, and the world cannot help but reward you in proportion. Second, wealth begins in the mind. Before a single coin can be earned, you must believe it is possible. Our thoughts shape our habits, and our habits shape our destiny. As a man thinks about money, opportunity, and responsibility, so he becomes. Third, live on less than you earn. It is astonishing how few people truly follow this rule. Yet this simple discipline creates the margin where wealth begins. When you consistently spend less than you earn, you create a surplus, and it is this surplus that becomes the seed of your fortune. Fourth, pay yourself first. Long before you pay bills or indulge in luxuries, set aside a portion for your future. If you cannot save money, the seeds of wealth can never take root. Saving is not an afterthought, it is the foundation. Fifth, avoid debt as you would avoid chains. Debt enslaves the future before it even arrives. It steals tomorrow's freedom to pay for today's impatience. If you must borrow, do so only to acquire assets that will return more than they cost. Otherwise, remain free. Sixth, invest consistently. Wealth does not grow by accident, it grows because you plant and water it regularly. Whether in business, stocks, real estate, or your own development, invest steadily, and let the quiet power of compounding multiply your diligence. Seventh, and perhaps most important, never stop learning. A man's income will rarely exceed his personal growth. Expand your knowledge, sharpen your skills, and the world will open doors that others cannot even see. Remember this quote, and let it guide you. Wealth is the result of disciplined thought, multiplied by time and guarded by wisdom. My friend, whether you are 20 or 70, these rules work. They worked a century ago, and they will work a century from now. The question is not whether the rules are true, but whether you will begin. So start today. Begin with what you have where you are. Save something this very week. Read something that expands your mind. Take one small step toward freedom and repeat it tomorrow. Because wealth is not built in a day, but it is built daily. This is Earl Nightingale reminding you, the time to start is now. Money follows value, not time. This is a truth that separates those who struggle endlessly from those who prosper abundantly. Too many people believe their income is determined by the hours they put in, by the clock they punch, or by the calendar days they trade for a paycheck. But time by itself has no economic value. Everyone has the same 24 hours, yet the outcomes of those hours differ dramatically from person to person. The difference lies in value. What one produces, creates, or contributes during those hours. A man may labor from sunrise to sunset, working harder than anyone else, yet if his work produces little value for others, his reward will remain small. On the other hand, a single idea, delivered with clarity and executed with precision, can create value that touches thousands or even millions, and the income that follows such an idea can be beyond measure. Value is created when problems are solved, when needs are met, and when desires are fulfilled. The marketplace rewards problem solvers, innovators, and creators, not those who simply trade time for tasks. Consider the entrepreneur who develops a solution that saves businesses hours of wasted effort. He may work no more hours than the employee who spends his day following instructions, yet the entrepreneur has multiplied his value by leveraging his creativity and initiative. Money flows toward him not because of the time he spent, but because of the value he generated for others. The same principle applies in every profession. A doctor who studies relentlessly, hones his craft, and offers life-changing treatments becomes more valuable than one who merely fulfills the basic duties of his role. The reward is proportionate to the value, not the hours logged in an office. The key to wealth, then, is to focus not on working longer, but on becoming more valuable. Ask yourself, how can I increase the value of what I bring to the world? It may be through acquiring new skills, deepening your knowledge, or improving your ability to communicate and influence. It may be through efficiency, creativity, or leadership. Every step you take to improve yourself increases the value you can offer, and by extension, the income you attract. This is why some people rise quickly in their fields while others remain stagnant for years. It is not that time has treated them differently. It is that they have chosen to grow their value within the same hours that everyone is given. When you understand this principle, your relationship with work transforms. You no longer chase overtime hours as the path to success. You invest in yourself because you recognize that personal growth multiplies the worth of your time. You look for ways to serve others more effectively, knowing that money is simply a reflection of the service you provide. You stop asking, "How many hours will this earn me?" and instead ask, "How much value can I create within these hours?" The more you give in value, the more money flows naturally in return, because wealth is nothing more than value recognized and rewarded. Wealth begins in the mind before it appears in the wallet. Every fortune that has ever been built started first as an idea, a vision, a belief. The external world always reflects the internal one, and until a person begins to think in terms of abundance, growth, and possibility, they cannot attract or sustain financial prosperity. A man who believes money is scarce will live in scarcity, not because opportunity does not exist, but because his mind filters it out. Another who believes wealth is attainable and acts on that belief will see doors open that others overlook. The wallet is only the evidence of what the mind has already conceived and nurtured. The mind is the soil where the seeds of wealth are planted. Thoughts are those seeds. If your thoughts are filled with doubt, fear, and limitation, the harvest will be meager. If your thoughts are focused on service, creativity, and disciplined action, the harvest will be abundant. Wealth is not a matter of waiting for luck or chance. It is the deliberate cultivation of the right mindset. Those who succeed financially train themselves to see solutions instead of obstacles, to think long-term instead of chasing immediate gratification, and to focus on what they can create rather than what they lack. This shift in perspective transforms not only how they work but how they live. Consider the stories of those who rose from nothing to build great fortunes. They did not begin with overflowing wallets, but with overflowing minds. They dreamed of a life better than their current reality, and that dream fueled their persistence. They educated themselves, surrounded themselves with people who challenged their thinking, and kept their focus on what was possible instead of what was present. The money came later, as a result of the foundation laid in thought. History is filled with countless examples of men and women who understood that the greatest asset they had was not money in the bank, but a mind capable of vision and disciplined execution. To build wealth, one must first build the mental habits that sustain it. This means replacing thoughts of limitation with thoughts of growth. It means seeing setbacks not as failures but as lessons. It means training yourself to think like a creator instead of a consumer. Too many people believe wealth will solve their problems, but the truth is wealth magnifies whatever mindset you already hold. A poor thinker who suddenly gains money will likely lose it, because he has not developed the mental framework to sustain it. A disciplined thinker, on the other hand, will multiply whatever amount he receives, because his habits and beliefs align with abundance. The process of developing a wealthy mind is ongoing. It involves reading, studying, reflecting, and challenging old beliefs about money. It requires patience and persistence, because thoughts, like seeds, need time to grow. When you consistently feed your mind with empowering ideas and align your actions with those ideas, you begin to notice opportunities that once seemed invisible. Slowly, the wallet catches up with the mind, and the wealth that began as a thought becomes visible in reality, live on less than you earn, always. This simple principle is the cornerstone of financial stability and the gateway to lasting wealth. Yet it is often ignored in a world driven by consumption and instant gratification. The temptation to spend everything you make, or worse, to spend more than you make, is the trap that keeps millions in perpetual financial struggle. No matter how much income a person earns, if their spending equals or exceeds it, they will remain in a cycle of dependence, stress, and scarcity. Living on less than you earn creates margin, and it is within that margin that freedom and wealth are born. When you discipline yourself to live below your means, you take control of your future instead of being enslaved by the present. That small difference between what you earn and what you spend is not merely leftover money, it is opportunity. It is the seed that grows into savings, investments, and eventually financial independence. Even a modest income, when managed with restraint, can accumulate into something significant over time. Conversely, even a large income, if squandered through overspending, can vanish as quickly as it comes. The principle is not about how much you make, but how much you keep and how wisely you use it. This habit requires a shift in mindset. Many people live as though every dollar earned is meant to be spent, as though their lifestyle must always rise with their income. But true wealth builders resist this pull. They understand that satisfaction does not come from endless consumption, but from the peace of knowing they are secure, prepared, and free. By choosing to spend less than they earn, they create space for savings, investment, and generosity. They understand that money is a tool, not a toy, and they handle it with respect rather than impulse. Living on less than you earn is also an act of discipline that spills into every area of life. It teaches patience, because you learn to wait for what you want instead of rushing into debt. It teaches gratitude because you discover contentment in living within your means. It teaches foresight because every decision takes into account not just the present moment but the long-term future. Over time, this discipline compounds just like money itself does, building both character and wealth simultaneously. The beauty of this principle is that it applies universally, no matter your stage of life or level of income. A young worker just starting out can practice it by setting aside even the smallest portion of each paycheck. A seasoned professional earning far more can practice it by resisting the urge to inflate his lifestyle to match his salary. In both cases, the result is the same margin, freedom, and the ability to grow wealth deliberately. Those who ignore this principle often find themselves trapped in debt, working tirelessly yet never moving forward. Those who embrace it, however, discover that financial peace is not a matter of earning more, but of managing wisely what they already have. Pay yourself first. Make saving non-negotiable. This is one of the most powerful rules of wealth, yet it is often overlooked because it runs counter to how most people handle money. The common pattern is to spend first, to pay bills, to cover obligations, to indulge in wants, and then, if anything is left over, to save a little. But that approach almost always leaves nothing to save. The secret lies in reversing the order. Take a portion of every dollar you earn and set it aside for your future before you spend a single cent elsewhere. By making saving the first priority instead of the last, you guarantee that your financial foundation grows steadily, no matter what. This principle is less about money and more about habit. It is a demonstration of self-respect, a way of saying that your future matters as much as your present. When you pay yourself first, you are treating savings as an obligation, not an option. It becomes automatic, like paying taxes or electricity bills. And just as you would never dare to skip those bills, you should never skip paying yourself. The discipline of setting aside even a small percentage of income builds consistency, and consistency is what transforms modest beginnings into significant results over time. The size of the amount matters far less than the act of doing it faithfully. Every single time, the power of paying yourself first is magnified by the principle of compounding. Money saved and invested begins to grow on its own, producing earnings that in turn produce more earnings. Over years, the effect is extraordinary, and the earlier the habit begins, the greater the impact. But it is never too late to start. Whether young or old, the practice of paying yourself first creates momentum toward financial independence. Even if the amounts are small at the beginning, the act of building the habit ensures that over time, the numbers will take care of themselves beyond the financial benefits. This practice is psychological ones as well. It creates a sense of control, stability, and peace of mind. Instead of living in constant anxiety about whether there will be enough for the future, you build certainty with every deposit. It shifts your identity from consumer to builder, from spender to investor. You begin to view money differently, not as something to be drained away, but as something to be cultivated. That subtle change in mindset affects every financial decision you make, making you more careful, more intentional, and more disciplined in how you handle resources. In the end, paying yourself first is not about depriving yourself of enjoyment. It is about ensuring that you will always have the means to live freely. It is about recognizing that you work too hard to leave your future to chance. By making saving non-negotiable, you place yourself in the small group of people who take control of their destiny instead of drifting with the tide. Each time you pay yourself before anyone else, you are building a fortress of security and opening the door to the opportunities that only financial independence can provide. Debt is a chain. Freedom comes from breaking it. Few forces in life hold people captive the way debt does. It is invisible, yet it weighs heavily on the shoulders. It is intangible, yet it binds more securely than iron. When a person owes money, they are not only giving away their present resources, but also mortgaging their future labor. Every dollar borrowed today must be repaid tomorrow with interest, and in that simple equation lies the quiet enslavement that keeps millions from ever experiencing true freedom. Debt takes away choice, it erodes peace of mind, and it keeps individuals trapped in a cycle where their work is no longer for themselves, but for creditors who wait to be paid. Debt has the cunning ability to disguise itself as a tool for advancement. It often begins with small loans, credit cards, or purchases meant to make life easier or more comfortable. At first, the burden seems light, almost manageable. But over time, as balances grow and interest compounds, the weight becomes crushing. The person who once felt in control now feels controlled. Dreams of saving, investing, or pursuing opportunities are pushed aside because income is consumed by obligations to repay. Debt robs not only money but also energy, creativity, and ambition because it creates constant pressure and anxiety. To break free requires a shift in perspective. Debt must be seen for what it truly is, a chain that restricts movement. Those who wish to live abundantly must commit to breaking that chain. This means rejecting the idea that borrowing is normal or inevitable. It means adopting the discipline to live within one's means, to delay gratification, and to resist the lure of appearances that so often lead to overspending. Breaking free begins with small, deliberate steps, paying down balances, cutting unnecessary expenses, and directing every spare dollar toward freedom instead of indulgence. With each debt eliminated, the chain grows lighter, and the sense of control and independence grows stronger. Freedom from debt is not merely financial, it is emotional and spiritual as well. A person unburdened by debt sleeps more soundly, makes decisions with greater confidence, and pursues opportunities without hesitation. They are not bound by the fear of collectors or the anxiety of bills piling up. Instead, they operate from a position of strength, able to save, invest, and give generously. Freedom means choices: the choice to take a risk in business, to step away from a job that drains life, to travel, to provide for loved ones, or to live with peace of mind. None of these are fully possible while shackled by debt. The truth is that wealth and debt cannot coexist. One builds while the other destroys. One liberates while the other enslaves. The moment a person chooses to attack debt with seriousness and determination, they begin to reclaim their future. Every payment made is more than money sent away. It is a link in the chain being broken. And when the final debt is cleared, when the last obligation is gone, the sense of freedom is worth more than the money itself, because it is the restoration of control, dignity, and the ability to live life on one's own terms, invest consistently, not occasionally. This is one of the quiet secrets of wealth, and it is a principle that has transformed ordinary incomes into extraordinary fortunes. Too often, people wait for the perfect moment to invest. They hold back, telling themselves they will begin when they have more money, when the market is better, or when circumstances feel just right. But the truth is, waiting is the enemy of wealth. Consistency, not timing, is what builds lasting prosperity. By investing regularly, regardless of market conditions or personal circumstances, you harness the power of discipline and the incredible force of compounding over time. Consistency removes the guesswork. No one can predict the markets with certainty. Economies rise and fall, headlines shift, and conditions change. The person who invests occasionally, trying to time the highs and lows, is often ruled by fear or greed, jumping in too late or pulling out too early. But the one who invests steadily month after month, year after year, learns that the fluctuations even out. What matters is not the daily noise but the long-term trajectory, and history has shown that disciplined, consistent investment almost always outperforms sporadic bursts of effort. The habit of consistent investing also builds strength in character. It teaches patience because results are not immediate. It teaches commitment because you continue the habit even when tempted to stop. It teaches faith because you learn to trust the process instead of chasing quick rewards. These qualities spill into every area of life, shaping not just financial outcomes but personal growth. In time, you stop seeing investing as a gamble and start seeing it as a reliable partnership with the future, one where your contributions steadily accumulate into something meaningful. Even small amounts invested regularly can grow into impressive sums. A modest contribution, repeated faithfully, compounds into wealth that surprises those who underestimate the power of time. The occasional investor might put in larger sums sporadically, but without consistency. They lose the advantage of compounding, the quiet multiplier that rewards persistence. Wealth builders understand that it is far better to invest steadily with discipline than to wait for rare, dramatic moves. This principle applies not only to financial investments but also to personal development. Learning, improving, and building skills consistently will always outperform bursts of effort followed by long periods of neglect. Another benefit of consistent investing is peace of mind. Instead of living with the stress of wondering when to start, you create a habit so automatic that you no longer debate it. Just as you do not question paying your bills or eating daily meals, you no longer question whether to invest. It becomes part of your rhythm, a steady flow that builds security in the background of your life. Over the years, this peace grows into confidence, and that confidence grows into freedom. Investing consistently is a quiet, patient, and disciplined act. It lacks the glamour of sudden wins, but it carries the certainty of steady growth. Those who follow this principle discover that wealth is not the result of dramatic decisions made occasionally, but of simple decisions made faithfully over and over again. Never stop learning. Your income grows as you do. The connection between personal growth and financial growth is inseparable, for income is rarely a reflection of time alone but of the value one brings to the marketplace. Value is created through knowledge, skill, creativity, and problem-solving ability, and these are all cultivated through learning. The world is constantly changing, industries evolve, technology advances, and opportunities shift. Those who commit themselves to continuous learning remain adaptable, relevant, and capable of seizing new doors as they open. Those who stop learning, on the other hand, gradually fall behind, clinging to old skills that no longer serve the needs of the modern world. Learning is not confined to classrooms or formal education. It is a lifelong pursuit. Books, mentors, experiences, and even failures all serve as teachers. Each lesson absorbed expands the mind, sharpens judgment, and strengthens the ability to contribute. When you expand your knowledge, you expand your capacity to solve bigger problems, and the marketplace always rewards those who solve the most pressing problems. A person who continues to grow intellectually and professionally becomes indispensable. And indispensability is always followed by opportunity and higher income. The principle is evident in every field. The professional who invests in sharpening his skills through ongoing education advances faster than the one who assumes his degree is enough. The entrepreneur who studies changing trends, markets, and technologies positions his business to thrive while competitors stagnate. Even in personal finance, the individual who continually learns about money management, investing, and economics is far more equipped to grow wealth than one who remains passive. In every instance, the willingness to keep learning directly influences the quality of results and the size of income. There is also a deeper benefit to never stopping the pursuit of knowledge. Learning fuels confidence. Each new skill mastered, each new insight gained, strengthens the belief that growth is always possible. This confidence translates into boldness, the courage to ask for opportunities, to step into leadership, to take calculated risks. Income follows not just knowledge itself, but the confidence and initiative that knowledge creates. A stagnant mind produces hesitation, while a growing mind produces momentum. The difference is visible in the way people carry themselves, speak, and act, and it is precisely this difference that separates those who advance from those who remain stuck. In a world that rewards specialization, the most successful individuals combine depth with breadth. They master their craft deeply while also exploring widely, drawing from disciplines outside their own to innovate and create. They understand that learning is not a task to be completed but a lifestyle to be embraced. Every book read, every conversation with a mentor, every course studied, every reflection on experience adds another layer of value to who they are and what they can offer. And as they grow, their income grows with them, for the world pays richly for those who never stop improving themselves. Protect your wealth. Guard it as you would your health. Building wealth is one challenge, but keeping it is another altogether. Many people spend years saving, investing, and working diligently to create financial stability, only to see it slip away through carelessness, poor judgment, or lack of protection. Just as the body must be guarded against neglect, unhealthy habits, and external threats, wealth must be defended with equal vigilance. The effort to create it is wasted if it is not preserved, for fortune can disappear faster than it was earned when left unprotected. Protection begins with awareness. Just as health requires regular checkups and attention, wealth demands that you remain mindful of where your money is, how it is being used, and what risks threaten it. Too many people build savings and investments but fail to safeguard them, exposing themselves to unnecessary danger. Insurance, diversification, and prudent planning are not luxuries but necessities. They act as the shield that prevents setbacks from becoming disasters. A single accident, lawsuit, or poor investment decision can erase years of progress if no protective measures are in place. Another aspect of guarding wealth is self-control. The greatest threat to financial health often comes not from outside forces but from within, from undisciplined spending, reckless decisions, or the lure of quick gains. Many fortunes have been destroyed not by market crashes or economic downturns, but by greed and impatience. Protecting wealth requires the humility to avoid speculation, the wisdom to resist unnecessary risks, and the discipline to maintain habits that prioritize long-term security over short-term thrills. Just as one would avoid habits that harm the body, one must avoid financial habits that corrode stability. Wealth is also guarded by knowledge. A person ignorant of financial principles is vulnerable, just as one ignorant of health principles is at risk of illness. Education provides armor. By understanding contracts, investments, taxes, and the rules of money, you make yourself far less likely to fall victim to scams, bad advice, or impulsive errors. A lack of knowledge can cost far more than any downturn, while wisdom preserves and multiplies what has been earned. Constantly improving your financial literacy is one of the strongest ways to guard what you have worked hard to build. Perhaps the most overlooked part of protecting wealth is maintaining balance. Just as health is not only about avoiding illness but also about nurturing strength, protecting wealth is not only about avoiding loss but about creating resilience. This means having an emergency fund, spreading investments across different assets, and living in such a way that even if unexpected challenges come, you are not destroyed by them. Security allows peace of mind, and peace of mind allows clearer thinking, which in turn leads to better decisions. Wealth, once protected, becomes a tool of freedom rather than a source of worry. By guarding it as carefully as your health, you ensure that the effort invested in building it will not be wasted but will serve you and your loved ones for years to come. Wealth expands through patience, not haste. The desire for quick riches has led more people to ruin than poverty itself, for impatience blinds judgment and tempts individuals into decisions that promise much but deliver little. True wealth, the kind that lasts and provides stability, is not created overnight but cultivated over time. Just as a seed planted in the ground requires seasons to grow into a tree, wealth requires years of steady nurturing before it produces abundance. Those who try to force the process, chasing schemes and shortcuts, often find themselves back where they started or worse, burdened with loss and regret. Patience is the companion of discipline. It allows you to continue saving, investing, and working without demanding immediate results. The person who understands the value of patience knows that each small, consistent effort compounds into something far greater than it appears in the moment. A small contribution set aside every week grows into a substantial sum over decades, while the impatient spender sees nothing accumulate because he constantly interrupts the process. Patience turns the ordinary act of saving and investing into extraordinary results through the quiet power of compounding. Wealth is less about brilliance and more about endurance, less about sudden windfalls and more about steady persistence. Haste, on the other hand, is the enemy of financial growth. It whispers promises of fast money and instant gratification, luring people into gambling, speculation, or reckless ventures. The impatient investor buys at the peak of excitement and sells at the first sign of fear, locking in losses while missing the rewards of consistency. The impatient consumer spends recklessly, always seeking immediate pleasure, while sacrificing long-term freedom. In both cases, haste undermines the very foundation of wealth by prioritizing the present moment at the expense of the future. Those who build true prosperity resist haste, understanding that lasting success is never rushed. Patience also provides perspective. It allows you to see setbacks not as failures but as part of the larger journey. Markets rise and fall, opportunities come and go, but the patient individual remains steady, knowing that time is the greatest ally of those who persist. Wealth does not need to be pursued frantically. It needs to be nurtured wisely. The patient builder invests in assets, skills, and relationships that may not yield immediate returns but will bear fruit in the years to come. He resists the urge to compare himself to others, focusing instead on his own path, confident that his steady pace will lead him further than someone sprinting recklessly toward illusionary gains. In truth, patience is more than a financial strategy, it is a way of life. It cultivates peace of mind because you are no longer pressured by the need for instant results. It allows gratitude for progress, no matter how small, and fosters resilience against disappointment. Wealth built with patience becomes not only larger but stronger, able to endure storms because it was not rushed. Just as the strongest trees are those that have grown slowly, deepening their roots with each season, the strongest fortunes are those expanded carefully, steadily, and patiently over time. Share and serve. True wealth multiplies when it uplifts others. Money, when kept only for oneself, may provide comfort and security, but it does not reach its highest purpose until it becomes a tool that blesses lives beyond our own. Wealth is not measured only by numbers on a balance sheet but by the impact it creates in the world. A man who hoards riches may appear prosperous, yet he lives in quiet poverty of the soul, while one who shares his resources, time, and wisdom experiences abundance that cannot be counted. Service is the multiplier of wealth, for when you give, you open doors to greater opportunities, deeper fulfillment, and a legacy that outlives you. The act of sharing transforms money from something static into something dynamic. Every dollar given toward lifting another person creates ripples that extend far beyond the immediate act. It might provide education, spark a business, or relieve a burden that allows someone else to grow. In turn, that person may go on to bless others, creating a chain of prosperity that begins with one simple act of generosity. Wealth that circulates in service never disappears, it expands, returning in ways that often surpass what was given. The law of sowing and reaping applies not only to the earth but also to wealth. The more seeds of service you plant, the greater the harvest of abundance. In return, serving others also shapes character. It teaches humility by reminding us that money is not an end in itself but a tool of stewardship. It teaches gratitude as we recognize the privileges we enjoy compared to others in need. It teaches responsibility, for with every blessing comes the duty to use it wisely. Those who serve find that their vision for wealth grows larger. They no longer see money as something to merely consume, but as a resource to multiply value in the lives of others. This shift in perspective expands not only influence but also opportunity, because people are drawn to those who serve genuinely. Opening doors that selfishness could never unlock. True wealth is never diminished by sharing. Instead, it gains strength. The wealthiest individuals throughout history are remembered not for what they kept, but for what they gave. Their names endure because their service outlived their possessions. They discovered that when wealth is aligned with purpose, it creates a legacy far greater than personal accumulation. This principle applies no matter the size of one's resources. Even small acts of sharing, time, encouragement, skills, or a modest financial gift, carry immense power to uplift others and expand the giver's sense of abundance. Ultimately, wealth without service is empty, but wealth used to uplift becomes limitless. To share and serve is to align with the deeper laws of life, laws that ensure what you give returns multiplied. By lifting others, you lift yourself. By serving others, you strengthen your own foundation. Money kept dies with you, but money shared lives on, multiplying across generations, turning personal fortune into collective prosperity. We have walked through the timeless rules of wealth, each one simple in principle yet profound in impact. Money follows value, not time, reminding us that the true measure of income is the service and solutions we provide. Wealth begins in the mind before it appears in the wallet, teaching us that belief and vision precede reality. Living on less than we earn creates the margin that allows financial freedom to take root. Paying ourselves first ensures that saving and investing are never an afterthought but the foundation of security. Breaking the chains of debt restores independence and peace of mind, while investing consistently builds wealth slowly, steadily, and reliably over time. Continuous learning sharpens our value, increasing our capacity to contribute and prosper. Guarding our wealth protects the work of years, and patience ensures that fortune grows strong and lasting rather than fragile and fleeting. Finally, sharing and serving multiply wealth beyond ourselves, transforming money into meaning and prosperity into legacy. Together, these principles form a philosophy of life as much as they do a philosophy of money. They remind us that wealth is not an accident, but a deliberate outcome of discipline, vision, and character. They prove that financial success is available to anyone, at any age and any circumstance, who chooses to walk this path with persistence and wisdom. And they show us that wealth is not only about what we accumulate, but also about who we become and how many lives we touch along the way. If you begin today with even the smallest step, you place yourself among the rare few who do not merely work for money but learn to make money work for them. Wealth is built daily through choices repeated faithfully. These rules have stood the test of time, and they will serve you as faithfully as they have served countless others. The opportunity is in your hands now, and the decision is yours to make.